What's going on? What's going on?
What's happening? What's going on?
All right, let me get my settings here going.
What's
Oh, you
going
know
on?
what, man? You forgot to connect your. You got to reconnect your.
I thought I did do that. Connect Facebook and all that kind of
Did you
stuff.
reconnect it?
Yeah,
Did hit the? Hang on, let me see.
there. Get a check mark from my profile. Is it?
All right. No, it says it lost access to your.
It says
It
beautiful.
says
It's there. It says it's in there.
no. You got to
It's
reconnect your destination. You see it at the top.
yeah. Thought I did that already. Okay.
You're so popular, bro. You ran out of space.
Oh man. Okay. The show must go on though.
Come on, man. You can't you can don't be like the old heads, man. You gotta connect, man. You gotta connect with the young people. Young people on Facebook. Maybe not for much longer from what I've been hearing.
Oh
Huh?
yeah.
Man, now what's going on, man? I'm like, you can't.
I'm in, bro. I don't know why it says I'm in.
It says click here. Hang on, let me see.
I don't have it. I don't have that on mine.
Yeah, we'll
I
figure
don't
it
see
out.
it.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. But thank you everybody for joining us, even if you can't get in on Tyrone's
Oh.
Facebook because he can't you got that old school stuff going on,
Come on,
man.
bro. You just got a new mixer the other day, bro. They was calling you Buzz Lightyear, bro. You're joking. Yeah, yeah. You going to finish and
Why you hating on my mixer, man? Why you hating on my mixer?
no, you got it working now, bro.
It's sweet now, man. I got the sweet sound, bro. I got this sweetened up,
Got
bro.
it dialed in, man.
I got the I got the iced coffee with extra sugar and I got all that going on, man.
What's up, Pod?
Hey. Thank you guys for joining us. We are local musicians
XP.
and we are glad to be here. First show of the year. We are just trying to ease in. Of course, my sinuses hit me this morning, trying to slow me down, man, for the new year, but I will not be defeated. So I am here for your audio and visual pleasure with my man, Mr. Jackson, over here to my right, and Brian CDM Falgoo.
CDM, community
Background.
coffee.
Brought me some more. He brought me some more CDM, dude.
He's a nice cat, bro.
Brought me some more CDM. See, cats go to New Orleans, man. They come back with gifts. You know, some cats, man, they go. Some cats, they be down there so much and come back nothing. You know,
That's true.
Now I did get some coffee from Puerto Rico.
You did.
Cat went to Puerto Rico, and my wife thanks you for that. She loves that. She's been drinking that at the office.
Very nice, very nice. So it's making good use. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a nice medium dark. It's not. Right. It's so over the. It's not like it's not like that black licorice stuff I drink.
That tar.
I'm just, I can't help it, man. I'm as you just like with anything, right? You grow and your taste grows, and
yeah.
But man, I tell you what's undefeated. The CDM is undefeated, man. In my opinion, the thing about CDM.
That smell will get you woken up, man.
The smell, but the cool thing about it, man, it doesn't have a lot of caffeine in it because of the chicory.
Right.
So, but that's a great like all day, like you can drink that at night, like and it not jack you up. So
you drink it black or some cream, some sugar?
Oh no, cream. I do cream and a little bit of I do the raw sugar.
Oh yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Which you got to be careful with the raw sugar because you have to put more in there than you think you do.
Right.
But if you go past If you go past that cutoff point,
Right.
you drinking straight syrup, man. Like
Going in your veins, huh?
it takes over big time, man.
Oh wow.
And as I was reminded by our trusty producer in the background, this is episode number 73. Does it seem like we've done
Wow.
3 episodes?
Wow.
So, that's but that's still that's nothing, man.
Right.
Because, streamers, guys that really get into this game and really end up having a lot of success, those cats are on every day, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or a good, several times a week. You kind of have to do that because there's so much competition, right?
Right. I mean, it's like eventually we get our sponsorship from Napoleon's or something like that,
Eventually,
you know,
yeah.
do that.
We're still open to we are open to and looking for we need to really kind of get on that,
CDM.
man, because
Go with CDM, bro. Get some coffee.
okay.
Let's do
See, man,
that.
now you speaking my language. Now you
Right.
speaking my language.
Right. Got
CDM, maybe Falgu might know the higher ups. Did you know the higher ups?
Yeah, Pod Horser might have the Guinness hookup.
No, Podorzer don't know. Podorzer know he know the people that feed our us. That's what he know.
La Martina might be a good subject, but we already know La Martina got, turning people in on their taxes and stuff. So, we gotta be real careful.
Funniest story of the year, man. Funniest story. Man,
La Martina's turning people in, bro,
Funniest story of the year. If you guys have not heard that one, I think that was last week. John Lamartina told one of the funniest stories, musician stories I've ever heard. That was good. We need to take some of these stories and we need to animate them, man, and like turn them into
AI on it, AI.
Yeah. So, but listen, we've got some people lined up for you that I haven't even talked to. I just kind of started thinking about. It's like, man, we need to get this person on. We need to get this person on. So next week we will have our friend and brother Cleveland Jones will be joining us.
Okay.
And Cleveland's one of the great singers out there. Has an interesting story. And he's going to join us next week. And then week after that, we have the blockbuster, the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Granston will be joining us. So we're gonna tear him up, bro.
We gotta sign an NDA or something, bro.
We had to go see his accountant. We had to go to the top floor. Top floor? We got yeah. So but he'll be joining us, and a lot of stuff you guys don't know about Joe and his journey. You never judge a book by its cover. People think, man, stuff just yeah, you just do it and it happens. It's like, no.
That works hard, bro.
Not only does it work hard, but the setbacks that he's had.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna
you
know what I mean? So and stuff that even as friends and colleagues we work closely with, but sometimes you even forget. You forget, man, cats have been through hell and back, man.
Yeah, he had a major setback. He used to have a really good drummer in his band, but I don't know who he's hiring.
Wow.
Like I'm not even on the gig anymore.
Oh, whatever, man. Whatever. You too busy, man. You got your you got other stuff. So anyway. But we're gonna talk to you guys a little bit tonight. Man, I always feel like this is the time of year where people go and just stress out about those New Year's resolutions, man. And I gotta change this. Oh, I'm gonna change that. Oh, I'm gonna change that. And you bite off more than you can chew. Next thing you know, nothing gets done. So we're gonna share some stuff tonight that will just sort of come out naturally. But we had a couple of interesting conversations, right, over the last maybe couple of weeks about some certain stuff. And it's one of those things where I think everyone who in the church, our minister at United Methodist in Riverdale, First United Methodist. I like what he said, because sometimes he'll talk about going through a certain season, right? Going through seasons of life. And when you think about trying to make positive progress in your life, can be very difficult, and it can be more difficult for some than others, because some people, man, they just have circumstances beyond their control.
Right.
But I would bet my life that everybody goes through certain trials and tribulations, and then what happens is you start to get into these what we call vicious cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into a vicious cycle, man, that can be super, super difficult to break through. So speaking musically, I mean, this really, you can apply this to any part of your life, but we're going to kind of try to, we're musicians and this is a musician show. So we're going to try to draw it kind of in that context, and then just sort of give our sort of breaking points and some solutions to what we call breaking the cycle. So I have a certain journey. You have a certain journey. Right. You have things that cycles you've had to break. I've had cycles I've had to break. I think everybody has. So, I just sort of like, and obviously you can chime in with, I threw out some talking points tonight. I didn't want to necessarily make it like it's the outline, but I just was thinking about some stuff and I just put it down so I could remember it, number one. Right. And but tried to kind of make sense of it in a little bit of an order. So
before we kind of like determine that, what is your definition of a cycle for a musician? And it could be different for everybody, but like what are some of the cyclical things that in your life as a musician we may all as musicians encounter?
Right. Okay. What about playing paycheck to paycheck? Gig to gig. We all been there, but we've all been there.
Right. Exactly.
So not passing any judgment on anybody.
Right.
But I think, that's a big one. Not getting any better.
Oh, yeah, right. And it could be a lot. There could be a lot of factors to that.
Like what? Ain't no factors other than you not working behind the closed doors.
Maybe you're working too much. Maybe you're learning everybody else's music. And that could.
Well, but I think that's still a good. Then you're in demand.
Yeah, but okay. So let's say you're working, like we know Neil Starkey was working almost 7 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
So when would you have time to go over what you want to go over? You got to keep it with other people's material, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. So I guess that would be relative to what. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, you're on tour. You don't have time to really do that.
Right. I was just talking to somebody about that last night.
Okay.
Who they're on the road now.
Right.
They never have time to practice or to work on, their own stuff. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe sometime that becomes you make decisions based on a lot of times financial needs, which that can be tricky, man, because if you have a family, that's your first responsibility. You got to leave the art alone. That's where you hear a lot of cats like, man, I wish I was still doing, or not necessarily they're saying I wish I could, but they're saying like, I just, man, I had to make a
I
decision in
wish I
terms
was
of
brave. I wish I was more courageous enough to do that. I don't know if I could do it. And like you said, live. They know they could live pay to paycheck with this the way the gig out here and the way to try to do that. It
right,
is not as stable. Well, is it though? But let's just say in quotes, we know this work is not as stable as other jobs, and I put that in quotes. But
right,
when it comes to music, your parents tell you, "Oh, have a fallback plan." My brother was a math major. She never said, "Don, have a fallback plan." My brother went to journalism and
right,
communication. They never
right.
said, "Hey, Dave, just in case it doesn't work out, have a plan B." You never tell a doctor that, and doctors amass a whole huge amount of loans and money and debt right off the top, but they never tell a doctor have a backup plan or an accountant.
Well, because the average person thinks that the only way to have success as a musician is to quote unquote make it as a star.
Right, right,
So people have that stereotype in their mind that that's the only goal that would be worth attaining as a musician or as an artist or
right.
whatever. If you're an actor, oh, you have to be in all you have to be in all blockbuster
Right,
movies or whatever.
right.
Where so there's so many like levels of
Yeah,
of the arts
and
that
parents want to protect their kids. I mean, I know they
yeah,
want to protect them, so it comes
they
from a
just
place of love.
but they don't
But
understand, you
right,
know.
right. So
They don't
that cycle, I see the one about playing as well. You get in that cycle and you don't get better, or uh playing certain types of gigs that you said you weren't going to play anymore, and you back
mhm,
at it again.
mhm,
Playing for, like Lori Williams says in there, playing for a certain thing. You deserve more money. But you know when people aren't paying what you're worth or thinking you're not deserving of that, how do you shift that modality and get to people to pay you what you're worth?
well,
And then the breaking of that cycle would be like Mulgrew Miller told me. He's like, you got to stop taking those gigs. And you're like, well, how can
right.
I stop taking
Right.
those gigs? That's
Okay.
my bread
So
and butter.
we're gonna get into all that. We're gonna get into some specifics. Let's
Yeah,
try to get in some kind of little order here, and let's talk about the first you know thing that you kind of have to do if you're trying to break a cycle or break a habit or whatever it is. You first have to identify the issue, man. What is the issue
right.
that which again, it's like, okay, I have to have self awareness and I have to be honest with myself as to, okay, let's take something simple. Okay, I want to be playing with better people and making better money.
Right.
Okay, so which I mean I've been there, where you know there's different reasons why you are where you are. A lot of times people will say you wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. And a lot of
Right.
times that can be true because just as I've had and you've had, we've talked to young guys who are already talking about, well, how much does a gig pay? Well, how much am I going to make? Yada yada yada. And they haven't even put in the work necessary to be able to ask that question, you know? Um,
That old
because,
adage, you have to have the skills to pay the bills, is really,
well,
really
I mean,
is.
but Tyrone, okay, so if somebody comes from college and a firm uh offers them a what?
Internship.
You got to be the baddest cat in your class or go to one of the top schools uh and be one of the to come out and you're and making $100,000 a year.
The, the, bo-
That's It's the same thing as like playing pro athlete. It's like, huh?
The boss's son still has to start on fries, start in the mailroom and go up. Now you're not going to stay there, but you got to learn the craft from the bottom up, and then you have to
you got to learn the craft.
Yeah, you can't jump into $300 for a gig and you don't know any tunes, and you're gonna be learning on the gig. Truth be told, coming out of college with any profession, it's almost like you should be paying for it. That's why internship is like important, because I can't pay you yet. You have to figure out the ropes. I'm actually teaching you right now. Now there's some
teaching you.
There's some people come out that's killing, but they still have to learn how to groove. They still have to learn how to work with people, and Jimi Hendrix was with the Isley Brothers, right?
Little Richard.
They had to get his guitar out of the pawn shop. As talented as he was, he had to live with them a little bit, and then he got himself together as much as possible. Sometimes usually those gifted people, there's other things that goes on in their life, but it's needless to say, he had to learn how to be on a gig, learn how to go places, learn how to be on time, all those different things, so he could be ready for his show, how to put a band together, how to rehearse. You can't get that willy-nilly, I think we as torchbearers feel like our hands are tied, because we don't want to offend anybody and say anything, and not to say you're going to be malicious, just say anything in general. So our default code now is, hey man, you sound good.
But that's a new that's the new that's not what for generations and generations.
Yeah,
that's not what happened.
No,
it's
not.
But of course now, it's a much friendlier world in all aspects, because there's a shortage of I mean, gosh, for lack of a better word, there's a shortage of bodies, man. I think in every working capacity, people are just looking for willing help, and that goes to our profession as well.
Live bodies.
Dude, if I could, man, I mean, we could sit up here and talk and tell these stories and get other cats to come on and tell their stories about like what it's like now. But it's in all walks of life. It's in all businesses is what's happening. So, but let's get back to the point of you have to identify the issue first. So, and if you never identify the issue,
that's the cycle. You're doomed to repeat the cycle.
You're just going to keep on.
You can identify what you need to break.
You hear horrible stories, just life stories of, I mean, not to get into any specifics, but just families of just whatever, from the grandma, the grandmother, the mother, the daughter, or the grandfather, the father, the son. I mean, the same thing, just repeating the same things over and,
you know what?
And over.
Science
and over.
has found out that those kind of traits and habits can be imprinted on your DNA, so you can pass that genetic trait down to the next generation. So they're finding out that your habits, whatever your cycle is, can be imprinted on your DNA and passed down. Is that crazy or what?
It's Apple. What's this?
You foolish too.
What's the saying, dude? Apple don't fall too far from the tree.
That's what it is, right?
That's what I mean, all of these old people think, all of that stuff is still relevant, man. It's still relevant. You got traits of your dad. I got traits of my dad.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. So,
and you're right. To break it, you have to be cognizant of it, and then
you have to be cognizant of it. And then, what's the second? So our second point. Let's get to the second point.
I think I know.
What's the second point? You have to take responsibility. Stop blaming other people for your.
And they don't value me, man. They don't value how good I am.
They may not.
A little bit late. I was a little bit late, but man, what kind of value I add to this gig?
But so was so and so, and they ain't say nothing to him.
Right, right.
Well,
and they making
so
jokes
and so
about
is
me being
probably
late.
a lot better than you are.
Right.
So just like in any
right.
walk of life,
right.
If you have extra value to a situation, you are going to get away with more. Okay?
You're not paying me enough to bring my good keyboard out.
Look, I have to throw in a football analogy. So, Jimmy Johnson, great college and pro football coach, Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s, Miami Hurricanes, late 80s. Okay, so Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. Okay,
wow.
Those are stars of the team.
That they are.
Now, if Emmitt Smith fall asleep during film study,
okay, you have a little.
Emmitt Smith's gonna fall asleep during film study.
Right.
But if rookie X, Y, and Z start during film study,
right.
Man, you getting cut the next day. Right. Well, Emmitt did it, yeah, but Emmitt's a superstar,
right.
and Jim. And the thing about Jimmy, man, that I always loved is he made that. No, he was like, this ain't no even playing field. Right, He's like, you see those cats over there? They could do whatever they want to do. Michael Irvin is proof of that.
Of course.
If you know anything about Michael Irvin's life and career. So I'm not saying that's necessarily always a good thing, but look, that's just the nature, what they call it, the nature of the business. Yeah, the nature of the beast, man. So
you're right. The responsibility, after you identify it, then you have to go from there. You can't just say, oh, okay, this is the problem, and keep doing the same old thing. Now you got to say, hey, I got to change. I have no control over anybody else.
And this is probably the hardest one, don't you think? Because
you have it hurts.
It hurts. Woo, woo,
woo. Hurts. It says I'm weak in an area. We don't want it. We don't want to show that.
How many times have I played the tune Caravan?
Oh, a billion times.
Man, I think I got off the form last night, bro.
Oh, it happens, bro.
And of course, I'm looking around like it can't be me, but everybody's looking at each other like, yeah, man, you off. I'm like, are you? Man, that was a hard pill to swallow, man. Right, but
right.
You know, it's still debatable. I want to hear the tape, but.
So are you not taking responsibility, or you are taking responsibility?
No, I'm gonna take if it's true, I'm gonna take responsibility. So,
okay.
But I wouldn't only want. No, I'm just kidding. So look.
So there you go. Stop blaming others.
But you, at some point, man, you have to stop blaming other people for what is not happening to you. What if you're not in the place that you feel like you're supposed to be? The only person that can figure that out is, well, technically is you, but there's another point later on down the road that we're going to talk about that is also important.
There's nothing worse than a habitual form breaker. You're not habitual, bro, but a habitual form breaker, bro. Like,
let's not go on all. Like, that's going to lead us down a whole nother.
There's a person that we both know that is habitual form breaker.
Man. So,
whatever.
Taking responsibility. What advice can you give to make that? I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's the hardest thing to do, but what's a process for you to finally you gotta eat it, whatever's going on. Like, okay, it's me. What's your advice in that for that?
Well, first of all, you got to surround yourself with people who do those things, because you'll never be held accountable if you don't see it modeled, right? If you don't see anybody else do it. So first thing is you have to cut ties with people who don't take responsibility, because they don't change. Those kind of people have to hit rock bottom just to get a glimpse of what may happen. And you don't want to get to rock bottom, and I don't want you to drag me with you on rock bottom. So I have to sever ties with those type of people. And that sometimes in identifying a cycle, it's that person that's been with you is not holding their own, and you've been carrying them this whole time, whatever. They'll be like, okay, they're pulling me back, But to your point, for taking responsibility, you have to have a habit of doing that, and have a really good friend that will not tell you what you want to hear, but tell you, hey, bro, you need to step up. You need to do this.
Right.
Hey, bro, it hurts me to tell you this, but you know me, and you know this is coming from a place of love. You can't take advice from everybody, but if somebody that you know, then you trust, and our tendency is to get defensive. You have to calmly say, hey, we're not talking about me right now. We're talking about you. Now, when you want to talk about me, we could do that. But a level of accountability is good. But you also have to have that trait of being, self-aware to say, I need to fix this. I need to change this, and you hang around people like you. You didn't have to wait for New Year's Eve to say, I'm going to work on my diet. I'm going to work on my change, And so sometimes when people, whatever addictions you may have, food or what have you like that, you want to break that cycle, you have to lean on somebody who's going to help you be accountable for.
Yeah, somebody that has your back, man.
That's yielding too. You still have to yield and take responsibility and say, this person knows more about this than I. This person has accomplished something that I want to accomplish. So you have to yield and say, okay, I'm gonna hang with this person. If they tell me, hey, bro, we need to get up and go to the gym right now, you have the choice to say, am I gonna submit and go? Or I'm gonna say, nah, man, I can't go, and that's it.
So what do you say to the and that's all great. What do you say to the person that maybe doesn't have somebody that they can kind of lean on? What do you think the process is for them? Or do you feel like is that something
been through something you've been through? You just got
right.
What's the old adage? When a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
So if you're not ready to receive your education,
right.
Because and it's not because this teacher's mysteriously going to appear out of thin air. Those teachers been there the whole time. You just weren't ready for the teacher. So the veil comes off your eyes, and now you see a teacher. But those teachers have been there the whole time. You just wasn't ready to accept it. So when I was playing for this church, I was just there on time. Rehearsal was at 7:00. I'd be there at 7:00, and anything could throw you off. A piece of furniture in the road, now you're late. You know what I'm saying? Because you're cutting it so close. And then it took somebody to say, hey, man, you're never going to be trusted to be this, whatever, if you don't get there on time or before time. Because if you're there at 7:00, you're already late. I'm used to running in there, jump on the piano, boom. I didn't have to do any prep work, whatever. My skill set was good. I could read anything they put up there. Oftentimes our rehearsals was better than a performance anyway. So I was like, oh, I made it. I did it. But it took somebody. Actually, what happened was we had one of those office parties kind of thing, right? So at the end of the year, this guy gave out the little, is it called Dundies from the office? That little office trophy, whatever. Well, anyway, so Dundies is like a backhanded compliment award, right? So I'm just chilling. So we get to this Dundee. This is the person who has the best excuse for being late, Tyrone Jackson. I looked around like, me? It's like, come on up. Everybody starts laughing. I'm not laughing. I was like, man, what y'all talking about, man? What excuse? He said, yeah, like you said, you were late because your garage door broke on you. Said, that's a true story, like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, good story. I was like, no, it's true. Like that. So I was defensive, man. So I vowed right then and there, I'm not going to be late for that church service kid. Well, do you know, for 7 straight months, I was not late. Nobody said a thing. One day, something happened and I was late.
Right.
And they said, there you go. And I'm like, oh, how long is it going to take to break their perception of me?
Man, cats hold receipts, man. After you've shown certain, if you've shown certain behavior for so long,
right,
it take you a long time to get out of jail, man.
right. It does. It does. And there's other people that they're never late, and if they are, you're like, what is going on with this person? Let me give them a call. Something must be wrong because they're never late, you know. So yeah, for a person who doesn't have that person around them, it's going to be a hard road. But you're hoping that they would be able to something to kick them in a gear. And usually it's a scare or hitting rock bottom or hitting close to the bottom,
I mean, man, the subject of time. Time is the enemy, man. I mean, time I think is the easiest enemy to make because
that's a good phrase.
It is, man. It is the easiest enemy to make because everybody thinks they can beat time.
Yeah.
And time is undefeated. People don't realize time is undefeated, man. Time's never late.
Hey,
ever.
Everybody knows better than Waze. You put Waze on, it's like, I'm gonna get there at 8:05. Dang, I can beat that.
Man, I had to reprogram my brain just by okay, the little things. Setting every clock I have ahead. That was I'm telling you the truth. Now I'm telling you the truth. This is how I beat it. I set my clocks ahead, especially the clock in my car, because there's been so many times where I will look at that, I'll go, oh my God, and then I'll go, oh man, that's 20 minutes, and the relief is like, see, you have to sometimes you have to trick yourself, man. You have to play tricks on yourself. You have to play tricks. But that one, man, time is undefeated, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. What's the next point? So here's an interesting one, and I thought about this. What's the easiest thing, man, to do when you might be stuck, in a certain way you eat, a certain look you have, you playing with certain folks, you have a certain job that doesn't necessarily, all it does is meet your needs, right? It meets your needs, but you're not able to save any money. You're not able to have any time off. You're not able to get any vacation time. You're not able to spend any time with, doing the things that you like to do. All you do is work. You're just a slave to whatever it is that you're doing, right? So, this is another one that's like, it's hard to beat sometimes, man. Is you just accept, another way of saying it is accepting what is given to you. Okay. Is stop accepting mediocrity, man.
I have a theory about this. I thought about this when you sent out the bullet points.
Okay.
And this is really true, but I think there's a deeper seated problem.
Okay, talk about it.
And other people. Sometimes you accept mediocrity because you are valued too much and people feed into your ego. And so you can be like, oh, we need you. Everybody wants, I really need you on this gig. I really need you, blah, 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 blah. And you really, if you fulfill everything for a person, you will never be able to be replaced. So if you're like,
okay, hold up. Say that again.
If you always fulfill everything that person needs, you'll never be able to be replaced. You're just going to be the one that's going to be called all the time to do something. And then we know that there's other people that need to gain that experience. And so we're not saying that level is not valuable at a certain time and a certain point. But if you're growing, sometimes you have to leave things behind. But this is my whole point. sometimes your ego allows that to happen because I feel like I'm needed, I want it, and I do all this stuff, and you see it all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm gonna do this because I want to be helpful. But why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? Because it's feeding your ego. Oh, I'm desired. I'm desirable. I'm wanted. I'm needed, and stuff like that. So, accepting mediocrity, and sometimes it's laziness. Sometimes, like, I really don't want to go through the growing pains to get to the next level. I think I'll just stay right here. And sometimes you are a big fish in a small pond. You're like, everybody's calling me stuff like that, and you don't want to get to the next level. You don't want to go to New York and see where you fit in, where you want to stay right there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and be the top dog, whatever. But I'm not built like that because I always want to try to get there. And you're not built like that, but some people do. And at the same time, I am built like that because every year I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this gig, blah, 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 blah. Now, if anybody's listening out there, I'm not talking about your gig. I have really learned and desire to accept the gigs that I want to do in the place
Right.
of my life right now. And in my experience and my know-how, I'm not tooting my own horn. I can be choosy at this point of what gigs I want to take. And I only want to take gigs that I'm happy about playing. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn and it's valued and stuff. But I at this point, I'm not taking any gigs that I don't want to do. That it's not going to be of value. It's going to make me upset. I'll take some if I'm a mentor to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And we have before, there's people we've taken under our wings,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, I wouldn't do this gig, but I'm doing it for you so you can get
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But what do you think about
Well,
the ego perspective? What do you think about your ego, your pride, your vanity?
well, I mean, everybody wants to be the first call. Everybody wants to be wanted. Everybody wants to be irreplaceable. Everybody wants to be, that everybody wants to be him or her,
Right.
you know.
Gotta have you,
So
Doc, on this gig. I gotta have you.
so but as an individual, you have to go into yourself and you have to say, well, what is my true value?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is my true value lining up with this person that says they need me, they need me on all their stuff, or they need me to do X, Y, and Z, or they need me to, train this team in the office or whatever. So you have to go within yourself and say, well, yeah, I've got all this work, but is it meeting where I feel like my value is at this time? Because,
Yeah.
and just like you were talking about, is hopefully as you grow, as you pay dues, as you get better at what you do, hopefully your value is going to increase rather than stay status quo
Right.
or decrease. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the hardest thing, man, for I think anybody to say
Is no.
is no, because especially with someone that they've worked with for a long time, or it's their gig that pays their bills, they have all their medical, all of their, everything, their 401k, everything that they've worked for is tied into that, right? So the hardest thing for people to do is to reset their value, right?
Right.
And um and I'm not talking about from an ego perspective. I'm talking about from a legitimate
Worth.
a place of humbleness,
Right.
of saying, I'm a lot better than this,
Right.
and if you would like me to continue working with you, we're going to have to renegotiate some things.
Right.
And but again, the fear of somebody going, well, man, this is what I can do. So I guess we just gonna have to move on. So you're gonna have to accept if that's their answer. Then but what does that tell you? Oh, you don't really need me. You just been feeding me. You've been feeding me what I want to hear, and you've been getting me for a discounted rate.
Right.
So you've continued to tell me everything that you want, that you telling me what you think I want to hear, right? And this is where, man, okay, so I mean, we could go into a couple of other social things with this, but we'll save that for another date. But life, I'm not saying checkers is not a hard game, because there's some cat that can play some checkers. But life is chess, man. If you do not understand that, you are in, and I'm not even saying you have to be good at the chess game, because being good at chess is incredibly difficult. But understanding that game, understanding the role of the pieces, how all that works, man, that is exactly how life is. And you have to know when to make a move and when not to make a move, right, and when to set up other moves for later on down the road. Dude, you know my story with certain things, of coming into certain this, what was this? What was this 3 or 4 years, about maybe 3 years? I said, man, I'm not doing this stuff no more. Right. Remember when I said that? And you were like, I could tell you dead serious too.
Yeah.
Like this part of my life is over. So, right. And the only way that could end was what? By me not being available.
Right.
All the time. You cannot be available all the time. Because
another thing, to your point, when you say stop accepting mediocrity, it doesn't mean you just quit it. Maybe the first thing is speaking truth to power, right? Because they may not even know. So accepting mediocrity is saying that this is what you're giving me. I reject it. I give that now. This is what I want you to give to me now. So if somebody, let's say it's a payment thing, and they're not paying you what you're worth.
Right.
Sometimes you don't just have to quit that situation. You can educate them. Say, listen, hey, I do this. I bring this to the table. I told one of my students this. My student was in a corporate band. He plays all over the place. He brings 3 keyboards out, and he drives. And he does some of the charts for him. I said, dude, now there's a risk associated with this. But I said, your value is more than what they're paying you. You're driving. I was like, you're tired, right, and you bringing out all this stuff. You're writing charts for everybody. You need to increase your value. I said, the great news is there's a lot of corporate bands out there who need keyboard players. They're not a dime a dozen, and the work that you're putting into it, as fastidious you are about getting the music together, stuff like that, and dialing up sounds, you really could command the money that you want. But if you want to stay in this band, you got to take this risk. You got to tell them this is not acceptable. If I'm going to drive, which I would love to do, you'd have to pay me extra money. If not, hire another driver.
Right.
And then the ball is in their court. But that's stop accepting mediocrity. I didn't say quit. I'm just going to speak. I'm going to speak my truth to power, and that's risky. Power is extremely risky because the power has the control.
Right.
So you have to be careful. It's what's Dave Chappelle thing, when keeping it real goes wrong. You got to be real careful how you keep it real. But you got to be ready to say, okay, if they don't step up here, I got to bounce. I got to go. You know. And so whenever it's time for you to say truth to power, you have to be, like you said, strategy. If I make this move, what's going to happen? It's going to be a risk or reward. And so if I want them to stop treating me a certain way, I have to say, hey, don't call me out of my name. Don't do this. I told a guy when I first moved here, he was from New York. He said, oh, he's just an aggressive. That's how they talk in New York. So he was calling everybody buttholes and other words like that. You know, I didn't play like that. My parents taught me to speak up for myself. So I told him, he's tall dude, 6'8", intimidating dude. I said, hey, man, you don't have to tell me that. Just tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. And you don't have to call me out of my name. He said, oh, you're sensitive. Hey, man, call me what you want. but don't call me an a-hole, bro, because that's not my name. Everybody else is looking.
Right.
I was like, so I had to stop accepting. You know what? He stopped calling me that, but he was calling him that still.
Right.
Well, that's y'all problem now. Y'all need to talk to him. I'm not championing the cause for everybody. I'm championing for myself.
Right.
So stop accepting mediocrity is also you saying to the person, hey, you want me to continue working, want this I'm giving you 100%, baby. I'm giving you this. But this is what I'm going to need to make this thing. And then you make that point, and that's not accepting mediocrity, because they may 9 times out of 10 they'll accept your terms. They'll be like, okay, you're right. If you're honestly doing it, you can't ask for something that you're not worth.
And also, if you accept the quote unquote mediocrity,
right,
don't expect it to change.
Well, it's not going to change. That's a deal.
It's not, because it's not going to change. So, man, so what's the first thing you hear though? Is you complaining about this, complaining about that. But I'm like, well, but you still there. So,
right. Oh yes, we know that.
What? So what are you telling me?
And then your productivity goes down, because you start saying, well, they're not paying me what I'm worth, so I'm not going to do this. So then now your value goes down, because you're like, I'm not contributing. Now I'm not going to show up on time. They're lucky to have me. I'm not going to bring my premium instrument out. Then they're lucky to have me. And then your productivity get down, and then they're replacing you anyway.
Well, but okay, so now both of us can speak on this. I will say that I led this charge where there are certain situations where you do put a restriction.
Oh yeah.
On what percent am I going to be exerting?
That's risky.
Well, it's
like
risky.
From a performance standpoint, do you put a cap on that? Because you never know who's in the audience.
Yeah, but okay. So I'll say this, okay? What I tell you about the certain things that we do, what I tell you, I said, stop giving out free arrangements.
You did say that, yes.
And you were like,
yep.
You know what? You're right.
Yes.
Because you're not going to get credit for that.
Nope.
And as we've heard, and I'm sure has happened to us, matter of fact, I heard something not too long ago, and I was like, bro, I know that's my vibe on that.
And all you can do is look at yourself, right? All you have to do is do that.
But hey, I didn't have the balls to record it, or I didn't.
Right.
Somebody else did. Hey man, snooze, you lose. But there's certain, But I'm just saying, like, there's a like there. Okay. I will say this: there is a time to not give your all. I'll say that. I'll say that. Yes. I'll say that with pride.
I would say not give your all. I know what you're saying. I would say there's a time not to give everything that you could give away. That's not comparable to the type of gig or whatever you're doing. So sometimes going above and beyond is what you should not do. But I know what you're saying, but I don't want people to misconstrue it like I'm gonna dial it down playing wise because they don't deserve this.
Why not? That's what you're doing.
Because I'm never going to compromise my plan. Now, here's one. We talked about this. I told you, bro, I'm done with being a problem solver on people's gigs, because it was natural to me to find a problem. And there's certain things.
I think I had a hand in that one too.
You did. I'm giving you props. And so it eats at me, because I can be in a rehearsal, a studio session, and I'm like,
oh, and you know exactly what to do.
Right. I'm like, you know what? Nah.
Because that's not your problem.
Right. It's not. I'm not the music director.
Now, but again, if that was someone, let's just say, we were on one of our own each other's gigs, or somebody that we work with a lot, or someone that we know. It's gonna be there's gonna be some, hey man, did you think about this? Or and it's because then it's becoming from a place of
relationship. Relationship is different.
That's relationship. That's right. That's relationship. And it's not that what I say or what you say is necessarily gold. It's just about, hey, did you think about this? And if the person says, yes, I did, but I'm still gonna do. You're like, cool, man. I just want to make sure that you were, So it's you're suggesting ideas.
There's a respect factor too, because if I know I'm on a gig with you, I don't have to ask about the money. Everybody else or other people, I will. There's certain people I don't ask about the money. I was like, yeah, cool. Right. Tell me when.
And man, and that's a really good point, because there are certain you don't even have to ask.
Yeah. Just,
man, can you do this? Yeah. Sure. But then there's other people that did. I'm like, bro, I don't know you. Or remember what happened last time? No.
Yep, we not doing that.
That's a whole nother, man. We can save that for
cycle too, because you know it's gonna happen again. And when you take that again and it happens, you're like, I forgot.
Yep.
All right,
all right, so let's wrap that up. That was good. So let's go to the next point, which was something that you brought up a couple of points earlier, which was you have got to seek help from people that have been in your situation, or just get outside yourself and be like, and sound somebody on something. Man, what you think about this? Because, man, we all get inside our own heads. And when you get inside your own head, things can get super negative really, really, really quick. You might miss, and sometimes things really can turn out to be just a misunderstanding, because certain situations are going to be dictated by what's going on in your life at a certain time. So if you're having a bad day or something else is going on and something comes up, you can hear certain things a certain way, and it's not at all what the person meant when they said it. Or that just happened to me the other day. Not that I was having a bad day, but it was like I wasn't even thinking about it, and something came up that I hadn't even thought about in like a long time, and it threw me off, So I took it as one thing. Luckily, I had to kind of rethink the situation. I was like, wait a second, man, I don't think that's what he was saying. Let me re-ask this question, And then it came out. Everything was cool. But if you don't have a sounding board, if you don't have, and it doesn't, man, sometimes the more impartial person you can find, the better, because you don't want somebody that's in the situation sometimes, or knows the other party that you're talking about, because then it can become one-sided, So some people just want to hear what they want to hear. I've had people, I immediately know certain people, man, when they ask me something, they're not really asking for my honest opinion. They just want me to tell them something that's going to make them feel what they already want to feel. So a lot of times I don't even.
Your last name is notorious or synonymous with them knowing that you're not going to give them the opinion that they want to hear. It's like, man, Burroughs going to tell you the truth, dog.
He's going to tell you the truth. Right. So don't.
Might not like it. So if you're looking for, don't go ask Burroughs.
And 99.9%. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I even hear. I'm like, man, how many times have I heard 3 months later? Dude, you were right. You were right about that, cat. So, but seeking help doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean, and this can go into therapy. It can go into counseling. It could be, you have to have something outside yourself to problem solve, man. You cannot do it yourself. You can't.
One of these rappers talked about how they were trying to manage their money. I think it was Snoop Dogg talking about.
Oh my
with Warren
gosh.
Buffett. So that's who he's seeking out. But so many people don't seek help in their finances and they lose it. But for a cat to say, well, the person I'm going to talk to is Warren Buffett, and they're going to help me through the thing. But there's a Bible verse, and if you don't believe in the Bible, that's fine. But it's the great adage. It says, there's a wisdom in a multitude of counsel. So if the more people you asked about something and you want to get advice, there's wisdom in that. And for you young budding musicians who've been sidemen your whole life, or side women, if you want to say it like that, when you have an opportunity to be a leader, please talk to somebody who's been a leader, because it's a different thing being a leader.
Woo.
So you're a leader, Chris. What kind of responsibilities would you have as a leader that you don't have as a sideman? That if you don't seek help about, you can end up messing up the whole cog of how this thing operates.
Well, let's talk. We'll talk just a tiny bit about that, because I have a strong belief, man, that leaders are born, not made. I really believe that. I think that natural leadership is. I mean, we're talking about being a good leader. Okay, right. Anybody can be an ass or a dictator, or someone who motivates through fear, or that's the only way they can get people to do stuff. We see that a lot, especially in our community. I'm not even gonna pull no punches about that, man. It's like it's always this fear thing, and what happens with that, dude? That gets passed down. We're talking about cycles here. That gets passed down. So then the next person in line, the young cat, that's what he's learning, right? So then once he gets to a point to where he's going to have his own situation, what's he going to do? He's going to lead through fear. It's just a cycle.
You don't want to appear weak. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to ask for help. But I could talk in my own life. I had an opportunity to do some theater work, and I had never done compositions arrangement for theater. And so it was time to sign a contract. And I looked at the contract and I was like, oh man. So I called up a friend of mine who was in the business and did some stuff. And I said, man, how do I go about negotiating for this? So he says, listen, in this situation, whoever mentions money first loses. So I had never heard that before. So, and they were pressing me. How much would you charge to do this? And I'm like, oh. So he says, well, first thing, he said, eventually you're going to have the conversation.
Right.
But you can ask things like, what's your budget? What's this? And then that they have to counter that. So they're not going to mention their real budget, because there's some wiggle. So I went back to the guy again and I said, they're offering this. He's like, no. He's like, they lowballing you because it's the first time. He's like, you need to charge this. I said, really? That seems kind of high. I want to get more work. He's like, no.
Right.
They know what this is. This is what they're going to get you for, or whatever. And this, you need to ask for this. But he says, if they want you, you can kind of wait them out a little bit, and then they'll step up. Like he said, whoever mentions money first loses. And so that juxtaposition of us like being passive aggressive. Yeah, no, what are you thinking about? Whatever. And I held out, and I was able to get a certain amount of money. And then when I got the money, when I started doing the job, I realized, oh, this is worth every penny. Actually, I think I shortchanged myself. I should have asked for even more. But I wouldn't have known that going into it. And then I would have taken on this massive work and stress, and I wouldn't have been compensated for it. And then I'd have to say, okay, I'll chalk it up to experience. Sometimes instead of touching the stove, you can ask somebody and they will tell you not to touch the stove. And I don't have to experience that. When people say experience is the best teacher, oh yeah, you'll never forget it. But there's somebody who did it before me that can circumvent burning my hand, and seeking help helps you not burn the skin, and you don't have to forget it. You can say, I have a reference of somebody who's done this before I have, and something that I haven't done. And that's called wisdom, right? To ask somebody else who's done something that you don't have to.
truth be told, everybody ain't got the time to learn through experience, man. I mean, drop another football analogy. My man Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame right now,
Right,
who's
right.
has never been a head coach, third year of a head coach. He's doing a great job, but this cat got massive wisdom around him that he is obviously listening to. Still still going to make some mistakes, some big ones.
But he could make way more mistakes.
But he could be making some way bigger mistakes if you're
right.
not listening to those who came before you. And I feel, man, that might be the number one. If I have to point to anything that's going on in this world right now, is that people do not want to listen to what somebody who's been there has to say.
Right.
That I mean, I'm not only hearing that in our profession, I'm hearing that in all professions.
Yeah. People used to, like Sig says, people used to listen.
I mean,
hey, don't worry, AI is going to listen.
It's not to say it's already been listening if you haven't noticed. And there is maybe, to go back on what I kind of said, there is something to be motivated by when you are motivated by fear, because when I look back on certain things that happened, and okay, let's just go back to, man, when we were kids, you feared adults, man.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get in trouble. That'd be the worst thing that could, that was a positive thing. That was a positive thing,
that's crazy, because I had a gig one time where it was at a rich person's house, and a kid opened the door and let me in. Kid was like, "Are you the musician?" Kid must have been like 7 years old. "Come on in." And I was like, when I was a kid, I'd run if like somebody said, "I was like, Mama, somebody at the door." Right?
You're not going to, bro. You're not able to go to the door.
Right. Exactly.
Now you might be able to look outside and see who it is, look and not open the door and see who it was.
Right.
But not opening no door for no stranger.
No.
What was the first thing they taught? Don't open the door for strangers.
Right.
Man, get out of here. But seeking help, going back to our point before we get off, seeking help, man, is another tough one sometimes, because you don't want to, sometimes you just don't want to hear it. I think that comes back to ego a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want your ego to get bruised, bro.
Exactly. Put a little humor. I got to throw this comment up here, especially the principal. Man, you remember being scared of the principal in school?
Oh yeah.
You be scared of the principal, man. Man, what was the worst thing that could happen in school? You got to go to the principal's office, man.
Man, I got a funny story real quick.
All right.
Man, I got into a fight with this guy, and man, we went to the principal's office.
I want to hear this one.
They called my dad to the school.
Oh, that was the next thing. Right.
My mom is a teacher. My dad worked at Kaiser Aluminum in the melting pot area. So for him to get off from work, it was amazing, right? They would have to actually stop the line for him to get off, and he would sweat through 3 shirts. So he came there. He was steaming mad, but my dad was always fair. He was real logical. He's like, if you did something, you own it, right? But tell me what happened. I told him what happened. I was like, man, this guy was showing off in front of girls. I had a big backpack on, had a clarinet. He pushed me down. He says, okay. He said, I'll take it from here. So we go to the principal. First time I was ever in the principal's office, man. My dad said, and the guy, Mr. Boyard, Dr. Boyard, knew my dad, right? My dad is off the corner, but my dad knew a lot of people. So he said, Stephen, you're not suspending my son. So he said, yeah, we got to suspend him like that. My dad said, Tyrone, leave the office. The principal office. My dad said, leave. I looked at Mr. Boyard. He didn't say anything. My mom said, you better leave. So I left. Next thing I know, the cat I got into a fight with got suspended. Mr. Boyard said, just going back to class. I was like, dang, what did my dad have on him? I don't know, but he's like,
hilarious.
But yeah, that was supposed to be the scariest thing. And I was scared because I was like, man, I'm about to get a whipping at home. My dad had to come off the Kaiser aluminum sweat. My mom was a teacher. She had to get off of her job. I'm like, I'm going to be tore up. And my dad said, I was like, dang. Anyway.
Hilarious, man. I think we have do we have a statement from Brad?
Okay.
Can you pull that up?
Yeah.
Would you read this?
Sometimes you don't get the benefit of asking the older leadership when a company is looking for change from the previous leadership when the old was bad leadership. You have to listen to what the change has to be from the owners and work from scratch. That's my Brad voice.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What do you think about that?
It was like I was talking with the Riddler. I had to kind of read
it. That's why I had you read it.
Sometimes you don't get the benefit of asking the older leadership. Okay, I got that. All right. When a company is looking for change from the previous leadership, when the old was bad leadership, you have to listen to what the change is to be from the owners and work from scratch. Okay, Brad, being an education major, you're exactly right in some points. The first thing they do when you come out of, and this is a cycle that we're talking about. First thing they do as a rookie teacher is put you next to the worst class. Usually nobody wants to be next to that teacher who has unruly kids. So the only person who's going to stand for it is a rookie teacher. But guess what? The number one influence on teaching style is the person that you teach next to. So now you have doubled. You have two unruly classrooms when you only had one. And this is a problem in band classes. Usually what they do is they put the best people together and put the worst people together. And so you have a bunch of bad people playing together and a bunch of good people. But what you really should do is stagger them. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And the bad will learn good habits and traits from the good. And so if the leadership was bad before, yeah, that's an attempt to say we don't want to recreate that thing. So you don't want to be influenced of it. And that is a way of breaking the cycle, is not being a part of an old regime. And we know this in sports. You got to get rid of the GM and the coach. You can't get the coach. You can't just, keep picking the Jets organization. Oh, y'all
unless the GM got something on the owner, and the GM not gonna get fired. The coaches, just like what happened in Jacksonville. So
right. So
where I was like, they're keeping the GM and firing the
Right.
But man, bad leadership, man, is
contagious.
And there's no way out. It's a toxic situation.
Yeah.
Because you can't outdo who's in charge.
Right.
I've been in situations, musically, to kind of bring it back to music, where man, the leader ain't about nothing. So I can look at it two ways. Okay. Right. I could either look at this as I need this paycheck.
Right.
Okay. I need this paycheck. And the rest of what happens on this situation ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care. I'm coming to work. At the end, I'm getting my paycheck and I'm going home.
Right.
Now, because there's certain situations where, we've talked about this before, where I will never judge anybody playing any gig, because you don't know what the person's situation is.
Right.
They may really need that gig.
Right.
For whatever reason. Now, you can dig deeper and deeper and deeper into that at a later time. But cats need to do what cats need to do.
Right.
But what we're trying to do is say, after a certain point, you should no longer be in that situation. Right. That's what, that's all what we're trying to do, is shed light on places that we've been.
A season is a season that you go through things, but
I mean,
multiple seasons are the same, is a cycle.
If you need it, you need it. That's the bottom line.
Right.
If you need it, you need it.
Right.
So, all right, let's wrap this up. So we got one more, and this was another point that you brought up earlier. Is you said it a different way, but same thing. Emulate those that do what you want to do.
Right.
This is the biggest, man. I learned so much from certain leaders that I've worked for over the years, good and bad, right? But I paid attention to, okay, what makes this person have all of these accounts that they have every year, and then those accounts are branching off into other accounts,
right?
And those accounts are branching off. Okay, so I'm studying. Okay, how does this person talk to this person? How does this person send emails? How does this person go about uh the performing for a certain event or for a certain concert? How you study all these things, and then you see people that, man, they have the worst gigs ever, or they have just crappy whatever. Now, you may find yourself as an independent contractor, you're still gonna run into this, and you're still gonna play for these situations. But you have to also study that situation. What is this person not doing?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What is this person? What are the negative things that this person is doing that's keeping them at the same low level thing?
Right.
So you study both sides, and you make adjustments from there. But you go, okay, where do I want to be? Okay, I'm going to emulate what this cat is doing because I see myself doing what this guy is doing. This is what in sports they always tell the rookies. You see that guy, go see how he works out.
Right.
Okay, that cat's the first one in and the last one out. Okay, when he's on the practice field, watch how he practices.
Right.
Okay, study that, practice that. You try to emulate that. Okay, you see that dude over there who's been with 7 teams and is still struggling to make ends. He's living paycheck to pay. He ain't got nothing to show for. He still needs his game check because that's all he's got. Okay, right. You need to study him too.
Right.
Okay, and you need to take notice and figure out, okay, man, what's keeping this cat doing what he's doing? I'm gonna watch how he interacts with everybody. I'm gonna watch how he spends his money. I'm gonna see how he, when something goes wrong, how does he react to certain things? You have to study both sides of the coin. Yeah. Right. So emulate those that do what you want to do. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's funny you should say it because this is something I learned from both you and Joe. And people will probably not believe this, but I'm an introvert that was made to be an extrovert. And so people think I'm extremely social, but I'm really not. I form relationships, but I'm not entirely social. But I watch you and Joe, and you guys are relational. And next thing I know, you establish relationships by just talking to people. And then there's this bond forms, and you start doing different things, or maybe somebody's looking for somebody to think about you. And I said to myself, oh shoot, I need to do that more. I need to talk to people. I don't need to be a loner. And you never know what the person in the audience may be looking for or capable of doing, or even a club or a place of business. Just by you talking to them and establish a relationship, they will put you in situations. So I learned that from you guys. Another thing I learned from you, Chris, is you would keep a journal sometimes and write stuff down. I don't know if you still do it. And I was like, I never kept a journal before. And I'm like, this journal is actually helpful because I can look back and see what I was thinking in this situation. And you tend to forget when you're in the moment and you're going through something. You can have everything firing and say, I need to do this, I need to do that next time, I need to do that. And if you don't write it down, you're going to repeat that cycle. So that journal sometimes definitely helps with that. And I've been journaling things for my dissertation. And one of the things you have to do is journal your subjectivities. You have to write down what your bias is, why, because you're analyzing data and you don't want to see what you want to see. You want to see what the people are talking about. And so in order to do that, you have to emulate the people, or you have to bracket your subjectivities and what you normally do. And so when you're emulating somebody, you have to put aside what you would normally do in that situation and say, okay, what do they do? And if they're doing that, that's what I need to copy. And then that's where change occurs when you said that behavior or that mechanism that they do, I need to adopt that and put that in. You play drums and you see somebody playing something, sometimes you have to say, oh, they look very relaxed. How do they do that? Well, let me see if I can study them. Even if you don't ask, but asking them helps. But if you don't, you put yourself in positions like, let me really study what they're doing to be so relaxed. They don't look like they have any muscular issues. Same thing with piano. You're looking for economy sometimes. It's like, how are they doing this where it's real economic the way they're playing, And so emulate that means you have to bracket the way you feel about something and say, I'm going to adopt this from them.
Right. I mean, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I what you said about, I mean, I feel like I'm still not great at the relationship game. I feel like I'm better than, definitely better than I used to be.
Pod Horser, bro. That's I treat him better.
Man, he got it coming.
But I wouldn't have really gotten to know Falgu and Pod Horser if you haven't established that relationship. I mean, we were talking past it, but you kind of started off that relationship.
Well, but again, you're selective about who you sort of bring in your circle, and because there's always, it's just, man, okay, how many times have we heard the stories of the first guy that I ever, I guess just because of my age and like all, kind of eyes wide open and stuff like that, but the story of MC Hammer, man. Remember MC Hammer?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody remembers MC Hammer, right? Can't touch this, okay? So there used to be a show on VH1 called Behind the Music, man.
Yes.
And his episode, man,
it was a deep,
hardcore, dude. Yeah. It was like, and him just talking about, God, I thought I had 150 friends. I thought I had all these people that loved me, yada, yada, yada. He's like, the minute I went broke, they were all gone. He's like, so I don't even know how to you have to be cautious.
Yeah.
Especially as an artist, because there's always those people that they just like to be around, musicians or artists, or because that's their thing and they feel like it bumps them up when somebody comes to the gig and they're like, hey, so and so, and that can be very like addictive to people. So,
well, that point that you said, when you emulate somebody, when you really see successful people, they don't have a lot of people. They have a core group, and you got to fit into that group. So that learning from people is that too. It's like, who's in your inner circle, right?
You could call this the entourage. Okay, there used to be a show on HBO called Entourage. Right. Great show. Mark Wahlberg produced it, loosely based on his career. His whole inner circle were cats that he grew up with.
Right.
He brought them out, and these are my guys. Okay. Right. So 9 times out of 10, if you end up in those situations, the people that it's going to be people that you've known for most of your life, like, even though, like you say, you brought up, Brian and Mark, they're new to my life, new to your life, right? But there was a common sort of like just a natural thing that happened to where there was a chemistry there that happened. That wasn't pushed or wasn't forced, as a lot of people try to do. You walk in a room, Tyrone, this, you walk into a room before a gig, everybody's on you, man. It's to me, and see, I don't personally, that's just, and me, that's not my thing. Right. people don't mean any harm by it, but it's like everybody wants to say hi. Everybody wants to give them the acknowledgement. You know, we used to joke, right? We'd be like, the cats, you know, you go into certain spots, you know, and you could tell the cats that just want some acknowledgement, man.
Right,
and like,
right.
nope, you ain't getting nothing.
Here they come.
Because next thing you know, you're gonna be up on stage trying to talk to me. Like, man, super distracting. But
I got hemmed up at the church Sunday.
You got hemmed up at the church, bro.
Got hemmed up, boy. And my boy, America, my boy, the best man at his wedding, you guys, hit the horn. It's gone. Deuces.
Do you remember what I said, though, man? I was laughing at what I said. I didn't mean to say it, man. Oh, do you remember what I said?
I kind of remember vaguely. What'd you say?
I was like, as the window was down, I was like, all right, man, y'all work it out.
Right. I was like, I said to myself, I'll take one for the team. Okay.
All right.
You got me.
We'll let you in on that one. Yeah. I got hemmed up at Napoleon's last night with one of the OLGs, bro. Like, I was like, man, nonstop, man. Nonstop. So, oh my gosh, man. So anyway, we're having some fun here. But yeah, so our last point of the evening, emulate those that do what you want to do. And
that one, right?
I'm saying, yeah, we're wrapping that. We're wrapping that point up. Say we're wrapping it up.
That's how important it is. We're doing it again.
So yeah, no, but we're just wrapping that up. So these are just, you know, if you guys, you know, I wish there was a way to I guess we have to find a way to, like, because I know there's people, we always find out there's more people watching this than we even knew. And people are coming up to us left and right. Oh man, we enjoyed your show the other. Well, why didn't you say that you were here? We didn't know. But I feel like this is a good discussion. This could be an ongoing thing because it takes a lot of work, man, to break cycles. It really does.
I did some research too. Can I quickly say these points? We don't even have to discuss.
Please.
So I have 5 points of breaking a cycle. Make a record of patterns of behaviors. You can do this by video recording, journaling, sharing your journey with others. 2, determine your triggers. What triggers you, right?
No, that's a good one.
Number 3, understand your responses to these triggers. 4, develop a hypothesis. That means your educated guess of what the scenario, how it's going to play out. And number 5, is this belief or behavior serving you?
Excellent, man. Yeah. And what we'll do, guys, is we need to make a separate video of both of our points.
Right.
And just, we don't have to go into details, but just that here's my take, here's your take, right? Because those are all great points. The trigger, woo! Right. That's a deep one, man. That's a great one.
Here from John. And
oh yeah. I saw that. Can you pull that up? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it would be wise for musicians to talk more about pay rates between themselves. Have a solidarity between the artists.
Absolutely.
Keep pay rates higher for everyone. Instead, it seems like discussing pay is not something that happens a lot.
Okay, man. Great point, John. Great, man. This is something that you and I do at will.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy to get that started. I can't remember who just blurted out, because it's something that you learn that you don't talk about. For some reason, you don't talk about that.
Right.
Someone online on Facebook, I can't remember the cat's name. He brought it up.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's a great, and cats were coming on there like, yes, definitely, we need to do this, yada yada yada. So even as John says, look, you don't have to broadcast it on freaking Facebook, but amongst yourselves in your situations, you talk about, you definitely bring that up, man. That has done, I think, wonders for both you and I to and it's not that you're necessarily calling. Well, sometimes you are calling people out on certain things, but it's almost like it's almost like a little bit of a self-check thing too.
Right.
You know, yeah, man, this gig paid this, you know, or this gig, you know, it paid this, but you know, yada yada yada. So it's even almost like if we say something to each other, you're like, man, oh, you did it for that, or
right.
That's great. Okay, cool. Next, okay, so
or hey, bro, I got this thing coming up. What do you think I should charge for it?
Right.
I don't know where Grayson, Georgia is. And when I asked you, where's Grayson? It's like, yo, bro.
Right.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get to Grayson, Georgia, bro. You want to factor that in?
Absolutely.
Like, okay. Right.
Because there's been several times where both you and I have discussed a travel date.
Yes. Yes.
And man, this cat want me to go to such and such for this amount? No, man, I'm not doing that no more, man. No way. No way. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody else shouldn't.
Right. And that doesn't mean you don't speak up for yourself. You could possibly say, hey, I would like to do this trip, but I can only do it for this. So if you in your heart know that you can't do it for that, you just take the risk and say, listen, this is what I need to do it for. And they may honor that. And they may say, don't tell the other cats I'm doing this for you. Oh, yeah, mom's the word. Because I took the risk, so I should get the reward, right? The other people are not. I'm not champion for everybody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
right.
Great point.
John Lamartina says some of my best lessons for teaching was not teaching the way bad teachers taught me. I've had that same experience, John. You know, I always go back to I had to be I mean, I grew up with a lot of different styles of music anyway. Like we listened to a lot of records, we listened to a lot of a lot of different stuff. So I was already hip to a lot of a nice diversified sort of sound that I was checking out. I was checking out a little bit of everything. But as I grew into wanting to be a drummer, I will never forget this, man. And I think about this often, man. I had to be about maybe 11 or 12. And when I look back, I mean, the teacher that I had, man, he was a young cat too. He didn't really know what he was doing. So I over the years, I've forgiven him for this. But I'll never forget, man, going into the teaching studio at Gazzardo Music in Rockford, Illinois, where I'm from. And back then, we had a record player. There was no, streaming or tape, like CDs, or it wasn't CDs or nothing. It was like you had to bring the record in if you wanted to learn something. And I was in my lesson, and at that time, I'm just kind of learning rudiments or whatever. And but I remember looking on the turntable, and I see a record by a group called Steely Dan called Asia. Now I'm about 11 at this time, maybe 10, 11. And I remember just staring at that and like, man, what's that, and he just kind of blew me off. Oh man, yeah, you don't want, you won't, And him, and I think
was the best thing. That curiosity was really good for you.
That cat never playing Steve Gadd on Asia with I mean, and this is like early 80s. So the record is only Asia came out of what, 77?
Yeah.
So that record's only 5 years old, maybe 6 years old at the time. So it's still fairly new. And what Steve Gadd,
Six said you killed Ozzy Osbourne though.
What?
You killed Ozzy though. That's what Six said.
What? I mean, what does this have to do with this price of tea in China? Anyway, back to my story. So, what Steve Gadd plays on this record is legendary. It's still studied to this day. And this cat not playing the record for me.
Right.
So when John talks about that, I always keep that in mind, man. Of when you have students, you introduce them to things. You know, you introduce them to stuff. So,
especially when you
all
kill
that
the
to say,
curiosity. Hit us with another one, Falgu. Let's do some rapid fires. Economy of motion and technique. You could do an entire evening discussion on that. Yes, you're right, Bill. Got to get you on it, bro. Okay, give us another one. Go ahead, Chris. You got that.
What is this? Oh, delighted I stumbled on your podcast. Hey, this is Audrey. What's up, Audrey?
Audrey.
Delighted I stumbled on your podcast. Your collective wisdom transcends the music biz. Thank you. All right, appreciate that. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you. All right.
Hit us again.
We got anything else? I think that's probably
Love Asia still do. Okay, hit us with another one.
Yeah.
Oh, you did a
high school town. That's what he was talking about. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Come on now. Thank you.
We don't know what points you're talking about, though, man. We don't know what points you're talking about. All right. Anyway, guys. All right. So we're gonna do something. We'll do a little short thing where we bringing up both of these points because he had points that were great that we need to pull up so people can see those. And no, man, those are great points. I mean, that's what it's all about because your perspective could be different than my perspective. You know what I'm saying? But
it's all the same though, right there. It's just another way of saying it.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Cool.
So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us.
Plug. I'm playing at the Gen Conference. The Jazz Educators Network is in town Wednesday through Saturday. So Wednesday night, I am with my group, me, Lava High, Robert Boone, Kelly McCarty, Patrick Arthur. We play at 9:10 to 10
Where's
o'clock. Where is it at?
Where is it? Yeah.
Hyatt Regency. We're in the main.
Oh, okay.
I'm also playing with we're doing a jam session with the Kennesaw faculty. That's at 11:30 to 1:30 on that Wednesday. Then I'm playing Saturday with Lori Williams. Her gig is at 9:10, I believe, as well, in the main ballroom. So
cool.
Yeah, that's a little shameless plug. But wish me luck if you can't attend. You know, I think it's really expensive for the evening passes. But I understand if you can't be there, that's fine. There'll be other people there. But wish your brother luck. Put me in your thoughts and prayers, you know, because you're going to scrutinize, you know.
It ain't that serious, man. Go in there and do what you do.
I'm about to try to get my next job. You know what I'm saying?
But that ain't, I mean,
I'm going to be who I am. You know, that's who I am. I'm going to do what I do me.
Yeah, that's like,
you get an opportunity to represent what's happening here in Atlanta. So that's cool.
Hey, man, all you got to do is remember that park gig that we did years ago.
Oh yeah,
you play what you play what you play, and don't worry about what nobody else does and nobody else thinks, man.
Yeah, that's bottom line. That's
right. All right, guys.
You got a gig to the public? You got a gig coming up?
We got Mike Field tomorrow night at 10 Roof, and that's pretty much it, man. Thursday night, we got another big game, Notre Dame and Penn State. So we're playing with house money, man. Shoot.
Right.
After we beat the brakes off of Georgia.
Oh, wow. We had to.
That's what I'm not saying. That's not what I'm that's just what the consensus is saying.
Oh, you were real quiet last week, you know.
I'm not saying nothing. Penn State's good, man. Penn State's good, man. All these teams are good. Anybody can beat anybody, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's screaming about Ohio State right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Who are you pulling for, Ohio State or Oregon? That's like a dilemma for you, right?
I could care less. I mean, I didn't really care.
Well, who's the lesser of two evils for you?
Well, I mean, Ohio State just beat Oregon. You talking about Ohio State or Texas?
No, Ohio State and Oregon. When that game happened, who were you?
Oh,
what was the better result for a Notre Dame fan? Like, who do y'all hate the most out of Oregon?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's probably going to be Ohio State, but recognized game, man. It's like you can't. I don't have any the only two teams that I hate, I mean, vitriol hate.
Yes, USC.
You know who they are, USC and Michigan. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of them, I mean, the whole SEC can go fly a kite as far as I'm concerned, but yeah, we can talk about it. Where y'all at now? Buying teams.
We winning the NIL and the recruiting.
Yeah, you winning that. You winning that. I give you that. Brian Kelly, boy, but he buying his team, ain't he?
I don't know how he did that, Joy.
He got all them transfers coming in. I was like, yeah, all them boys coming in. But hey, listen, thanks guys for being with us tonight. We are going to wrap it up. Brian Falgout has to get some sleep, and he just drank his last beer. So, you know, once that last beer is gone, man, it's time to wrap it up, dude. It's time to wrap it up. Time to wrap it up. But thanks so much. And we, if you subscribe to us, set your notification bell on YouTube. We've got some good guests coming up. Cleveland Jones is going to be here next week with us. After the week after that, Joe Granston is going to be joining us. And we've got several other people that we are going to feature and talk to this year. We're going to get our great friend and vocalist Kathleen Bertrand to come back on. She has been through a whole thing that actually has a weird tie into our podcast.
Do we want to risk it again?
So hopefully we can get her back on the show. But we also have some other great guests that we want to. Bill Hatcher, Lori Williams. We're going to get to everybody this year and get you guys on. And
we have some other educational things in the works as well. So we'll let you know.
Yes, we got some big educational things in the works. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. And if there isn't anything else, we will see you guys next week. Peace.